What's up, guys? We're gonna do a little frequently asked questions type of video. We've been getting a ton of questions and a ton of love in the comments, which I really appreciate. Thank you, guys. Also, we had like the godfather of this kind of content, CivDiv. He commented on one of my last videos. I think that's so rad. I appreciate you, brother. And stay safe out there. So let's jump into some of the most frequently asked questions. Start with this one. Do you buy your own ticket to get to Ukraine? Do you pay for your own travel? And how do you get in? This is a great question. I would say for me personally, I did purchase my own ticket. I bought the plane ticket in, I bought the train tickets and bus tickets and everything in to Ukraine. A lot of people do. I know some people who spent their entire life savings on their gear and their travel into Ukraine. There is an organization that I'm familiar with called Protect a Volunteer. I am going to put their link in the description below. They have paid for the travel of multiple guys that I know who are in my unit. They paid for their travel to and from Ukraine multiple times. So I don't know what the stipulations are of being qualified for them to pay for your stuff, but I know they're a good group, so check them out. As far as actually physically getting into Ukraine, I went to and from Ukraine twice. I went to Ukraine twice. Both times I flew from Texas into Poland, Warsaw, Poland specifically. Then I took a bus from Poland into Ukraine, and then I took a train from, believe it was Kyiv to the east side of Ukraine. So plane to Poland, bus to Ukraine, train to the front, basically. And of course, you need a valid passport. I figure that goes without saying. Question number 2 is, do you need to bring your own gear or do they issue you stuff? The answer to that is both. Assuming you get into the International Legion, when you arrive to the training base, they will issue some gear there. And then before you go out to the front line, they'll give you your rifle, they'll give you some camos, helmet, stuff like that if you want to use it. If you brought your own gear, you don't have to take the stuff that they're going to issue you. Not all of it. I've mentioned this in past videos, but I 100% recommend bringing your own gear. It's not that the Ukrainian issued gear is not good, but when you bring your own gear, stuff that you're familiar with, stuff that you're comfortable with, you'll probably fight better in it. You'll be happier moving in it, feel better using it. Mentioned in a couple past videos stuff that I recommend bringing, but I definitely recommend bringing gear that you have used, at least you've tried on once or twice, you're familiar with it. You don't want to end up in a combat situation with all brand new issued gear and not know how to use it. You know what I mean? Taking your plate carrier off or on, or you don't want to deal with that. So bring your own stuff if you can afford it. You don't want to skimp out. Get the highest quality stuff that you can. Your life is on the line here. Get the best stuff that you can. Question 3, what were the living conditions like in Ukraine? This is a great question. It's a big question. If you're talking about just in the big cities that haven't been too affected by the conflict, it's life like normal. People are still going to bars and restaurants and their work, and it's pretty much regular. You just have the occasional, air raid siren going off. As for life in the Ukrainian armed forces, like on the bases and when you get to the front line, it's a lot different. When I was at the base and we were in training, it started with about 20 of us in the barracks. Before I ended up leaving, about a month and a half, 2 months later, there was 60 people in that barracks. There was one working toilet, and it was one of those Turkish toilets, basically just a hole in the ground. Everybody was sick. Like, everybody was at this default constant level of having a cold or a fever. Everybody was at like 60% at all times. It was gnarly. As a medic, I was going around checking temperatures and giving people vitamins and medicine and stuff, which is crazy. But the international, when I was there, was pretty new system, so they didn't have the infrastructure set up. They were still figuring stuff out as far as living arrangements and whatnot. I'm hoping now anybody that goes, they have it a little bit more structured, more of a system, cleaner, a little more put together, because nobody wants to be sick while they're training to go fight. Sometimes they'll give you drills, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., they'll roll in a smoke grenade into the barracks, and alarms are going off, and you got to get all your battle gear on and head out to the bunker, and you don't want to be sick when that's happening, man. I mean, it's already miserable waking up in the middle, dead sleep to gunfire and smoke grenades, but let alone you have a fever or something. So with that said, I recommend bring a bunch of vitamins, hand sanitizer, all that stuff to try to keep yourself as clean as possible. Baby wipes are going to be your best friend because showers are not very prevalent out there. I'd say we got a shower once every week to 2 weeks. Now, as far as living on the front line, it was pretty dynamic. Where I was located, we had taken over an abandoned Ukrainian village. So we all had our own little houses. So there was a few people in each little house. And of course, there's no power or anything like that. So you would use the fireplaces in the house. I would say living on the front, in my opinion, was actually nicer because you weren't cooped up with 60 other dudes and, you know, sweat and shit and piss and everybody smells terrible. And, you know, at least you're in your own little house with a couple other guys and there's fresh air outside. You have more freedom. You can kind of keep things clean the way you want to. But these are abandoned villages. You know, there's no plumbing, there's no electricity. There was multiple nights. I remember the first night I got to the front, when I was sleeping, a mouse crawled over my face. And it wasn't unusual to get a mouse or a rat in your sleeping bag or something like that. So those are things it kind of comes with it, right? You're in a war zone. But that's kind of a breakdown of all the different dynamic living situations on the front, in training, in the cities. All right, we'll make question 4 our last question. What is it like living, training, and fighting with people from different countries all over the world? I'm actually glad somebody asked this because this is probably one of the coolest parts about the International Legion. When I was in training, we had Americans, we had British, we had French, Japanese, Chinese, Australian, South African, North African, Colombian, Peruvian, Mexican, Canadian, German, Swedish, Finnish, Danish, Polish, Czechoslovakian, Georgian, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some other ones. But this was probably my favorite aspect of the entire International Legion because you got to hear so many cool stories from different people all over the world, meet some amazing people who have some crazy backgrounds, maybe some crazy military backgrounds, or they were, you know, a doctor back home or a surgeon. I mean, you'd be shocked at some of the people you run into there. And there was just something so amazing to me that you have these people from all different walks of life, races, religions, ethnicities, everything, all together with a common cause, and you all basically become like this big international family. Like, you're looking out for this guy, you're bringing this guy food, he's bringing you shoes, and you're giving this guy a t-shirt. I mean, it's just so cool. I initially thought it was going to make things, especially with training, really difficult because like our main trainer was German, and then underneath him he was Polish, and they had different SOPs and drills, but it all kind of worked out. The commanders were typically open to hearing different countries' ways of doing things or tactics and stuff. I will say there was a couple times where there was some tension between, it did seem like between countries. I remember specifically I got into it with this French kid. And you know, tensions end up getting high. Everybody's getting ready to deploy. Some of us have been there for, you know, weeks at a time. Everybody feels cooped up, cabin fever. So I got into it with this French kid, and the whole French side of the barracks stood up. And I turned around, and the whole American side of the barracks stood up behind me. And it looked like it was about to go down. But we figured it out. There was a little bit of a language barrier, but there was just a miscommunication. We moved past it. But it could have gone south. We figured it out, and it was all hugs and high fives after that anyway. So, but that was a great question. That is definitely probably my favorite part about the International Legion. So that's it, guys. We're just going to leave it at the 4 questions or whatever we did today. I want to see if this format of a video resonates with you guys. If it's something that you like, we'll do plenty more. If not, then I'll move on to some different content. But I appreciate all the love. Again, it's been incredible. Don't forget to subscribe, like, turn on the bell, do all that stuff, and I'll upload another video tomorrow. Peace out, guys.